me.
Ask your doctor about Ingrezza, #1 prescribed for TD. Learn how you could pay as little as $0 at Ingrezza.com.
I feel refreshed because I'm not struggling with CPAP anymore.
She looks great.
I got Inspire. Great sleep at the click of a button.
Did you get implants?
Yeah, I got an implant, Sheila. It's Inspire.
Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Top of a brand new hour on CNN Newsroom. Good to have you. I'm Victor Blackwell. The Federal Reserve just announced its biggest interest rate hike in 28 years. It went up by 3/4 of a percentage point, marking the central bank's most aggressive move yet to try to bring down the soaring costs of food and gas and almost everything else. And inflation, it's not easy. Just days ago, we learned it's at the highest level since 1981. The Fed also just released some darkening forecasts, projecting more inflation and higher unemployment. Joining me now, CNN reporter Matt Egan. So we just heard from the Fed chairman. He signaled more rate hikes. What did you learn?
Well, Victor, clearly inflation is on fire. And today, the Federal Reserve officially called in help for some reinforcements, right? Taking these aggressive steps to raise interest rates. And Fed officials are signaling that even more aggressive steps may be needed to get inflation under control. Listen to what Jerome Powell just said.
We anticipate that ongoing rate increases will be appropriate. The pace of those changes will continue to depend on the incoming data and the evolving outlook for the economy. Clearly, today's 75 basis point increase is an unusually large one, and I do not expect moves of this size to be common. From the perspective of today, either a 50 basis point or a 75 basis point increase seems most likely at our next meeting.
Now, Fed officials sharply raised their projections for interest rates going forward. They're now predicting interest rates will be around 3.4% at the end of the year. That's about double where they are today, so much higher. And, I think it's worth noting that this was not the plan that Jerome Powell drew up 6 months ago or so, that he preferred to raise interest rates gradually so as not to do too much disruption to the economy. But they haven't had that luxury because inflation is just so hot right now that they've had to take even more aggressive steps than they had planned, Victor.
Matt Egan at the Fed Reserve, thank you very much. CNN business correspondent Allison Kosik is at the New York Stock Exchange. Allison, it was up and then down and then up and then down. Where's it now?
Yeah, right now we're seeing green arrows across the board. I think the market is adjusting to what Fed Chair Jay Powell is saying right now. He's in the middle of his press conference. But the Fed's decision really coming in line with what the market wanted. There had been this growing chorus of economists, analysts, and traders, calling for Jay Powell to just get tougher on inflation. And Powell looks to have done that today by raising interest rates by a full 0.75%. So it looks like the Fed is responding to May's hot inflation number. Something that really was the last straw for the S&P 500 to enter a bear market. It's down 20% for the year. The NASDAQ has been in a bear market as well. It's down 30%. And many have been saying that Powell has been behind the curve and slow to react to rising inflation that's been hitting consumers from the grocery store to the gas station. Now, of course, there's the concern about the Fed needing to get this right, Victor. The Fed is in the middle of, this delicate dance, how to bring down inflation without driving the economy into a recession by hiking rates too much. Victor?
Allison Kosik at the New York Stock Exchange, thank you very much. Joining me now is former economic advisor to President George W. Bush, Douglas Holtz-Eakin. He's also the president of the American Action Forum. Douglas, good to see you again. Let's start here with just your reaction to this 75 basis point increase.
Well, I thought you could make the case for either a 50 or a 75-point move. The case for a 50-point move is that was the plan, and the Fed wants to convey the message that it understands the problem, it has a plan, and it's sticking to its plan, and will take on inflation. The case for 75 is the data are a bit hotter, and they've always said they would respect the data and adjust accordingly, and they did that. So I think of the two choices, being aggressive in the face of an aggressive inflation problem is the right one. And now we just see how many times they have to go 75. The chairman signaled they might do that again at the next meeting.
Yeah, you think this decision makes a recession in the next year or two any more or less likely?
No, we have an elevated risk of a recession anytime the Fed is trying to combat inflation. Historically, its ability to slow the economy enough to get the inflation under control, but not to get it to go into negative territory, has been a bit dicey. So they're trying to do that one more time in the face of a lot of uncertainty coming out of Ukraine, with the tail legs of the pandemic, and with China. That's a hard problem. So 50 or 75, the risks are still the same next year, one way or the other.
For people who, I'm trying to, deliver this to people sitting at home, don't deal specifically, they're not applying for a mortgage. Peggy in payroll. She's been married for 20 years, owned her house for 15. She's got 2 kids at home, not a lot of credit card debt. What does this mean for her family?
I think the right thing to recognize here is that once you let inflation get entrenched in the economy, and we've done that, you really have no good choices. You either live with the inflation, and Victor, you know how much people are struggling with this, and they don't want to live with this inflation, or you do things to control the inflation that mean higher costs for mortgages, higher costs for auto loans, higher costs for any kind of credit that you're going to have in the economy. Every month you're going to hear job reports that aren't as good as they used to be, housing reports that aren't what they used to be, retail sales that aren't as strong as they used to be. That doesn't feel so great either. So you're picking between these two evils in order to get, in the long run, the inflation out of the system and the ability to grow more rapidly. But that's not a this year phenomenon. That we're going to take a year or two to get through this.
Talk to me about stagflation. So high inflation, slow growth, but also high unemployment. Now, unemployment is not high right now, but the forecast from the Fed is that it could tick up. So this latest survey from Bank of America, their survey shows investors fear stagflation. Their fears are higher than they have been at any point since the 2008 financial crisis. You think that's warranted?
Well, I grew up with the stagflation of the 70s and the 80s. That was the beginning of my career as an economist. And the key difference between that era and now has to do with expectations of inflation. In the 70s, inflation was high on a sustained basis. People were counting on inflation every year. They were writing it into contracts. There were cost of living adjustments. And as a result, you got high inflation whether the economy was growing well or not. And we had some recessions. They showed combinations of inflation and recession, really bad economic circumstances. What the Fed is trying to do right now is prevent that inflation expectation from getting ingrained in the economy. They want people to get the message that they're taking this on, and then when you get to 2024, you're not worried about inflation anymore. It's in the rearview mirror, and you're going back to living your life the way you used to. That's the key for their success.
Let me slip one more in here on oil companies. There's this support in the Senate, this proposal from Senator Wyden on a surtax, 21% on excessive profits of the oil companies. Do you think that's a good idea, and could that backfire?
Again, this is history repeating itself. We put in a windfall profits tax in 1980. It was a spectacular failure. It depressed oil production in the United States. It did not raise any real revenue. It did not solve the high price of oil problem. So I don't think this is the right way to go. It's always, I think, tempting to demonize oil companies when things are bad. But substantively, that's not going to change global oil markets, which are where the problem resides.
Douglas Holtz-Eakin, always appreciate the perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moments ago, FDA vaccine advisors voted in favor of authorizing Moderna's COVID vaccine for children as young as 6 months old. Let's get down to CNN senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen. All right, so what do you know?
Victor, this is very exciting news for parents with young children. This is the next step along the way. Now we'll wait to see if the FDA authorizes it, and we'll wait to see if the CDC greenlights it. We expect both to happen, and we expect both to happen quite quickly. So let's take a look at the Moderna vaccine for these very young children. So we're talking about children 6 months to 5 years old. What they found that when they looked at the children's blood who got this vaccine, their antibody response was as good as adults. That's good, but that's not the ultimate test. The ultimate test is what happens when you give it to children and compare it to children who got a placebo. Give them some time, see who gets sick. What they found is for 2 to 5-year-olds, the vaccine was 36.8% effective at preventing children from getting symptomatic COVID. For the 6-month-old to the 23-month-old group, it was 50.6% effective. Now, we are used to seeing numbers like, say, 95% effective. These numbers are not wow numbers, I'll just be honest. But parents need to keep this in mind. That's at preventing children from getting symptomatic COVID. There is good reason to think it would be much more effective at preventing your child from getting so sick with COVID that they end up in the hospital, or preventing your child from dying. So that's what we're really trying to prevent, is hospitalization or death. And those numbers are likely much better than the numbers that you just saw there, which is just keeping your child from getting COVID and, getting some symptoms. So let's take a look at another aspect of it. So we know that this is given in 2 doses, 4 weeks apart, and the dosage for these little children is much lower. It's 25 micrograms. When you talk about older children, ages 6 to 11, it's double that. When you talk about children 12 plus years, it's 4 times that. It's 100 micrograms. So this is different than the adult vaccines, much smaller doses. And I've saved the most important thing for last, which is that it was found to be safe. When they did this trial with 6,000 children, they found that it was safe. So parents are really urged to get this, because while most children don't get very, very sick with COVID, especially now with Omicron, you never know if your child is going to be one of the ones who does get terribly sick and end up in the hospital or worse. Victor?
Yeah, very important point there, Elizabeth. I mentioned a few minutes ago this breaking news that Dr. Fauci has now tested positive for COVID. What can you tell us?
So first of all, we wish him the best. We are told that he has mild symptoms and that he is working from home. So mild symptoms, working from home. He's fully vaccinated. He's had 2 boosters. The odds are, we know that he is over 65. So we know that of course puts him at a higher risk. But still, even people his age usually do very, very well with COVID, especially the Omicron variant. So we're told right now his symptoms very mild. Victor?
Well, that's good news. And I think Dr. Fauci would proudly tell you that he's well over 65. I think he's in his 80s.
Yes.
So, yeah.
He is.
I know you were trying to be generous. I appreciate it. Elizabeth Cullen, thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, let's turn now to the Buffalo mass shooting suspect will now face federal hate crime charges. We've got details ahead. And record heat is scorching parts of the U.S., including Ohio, where temperatures are hovering around 108 degrees right now. We're live in Columbus. Next.
Tower camp for hey, folks, we seem to have a visitor. It looks like
you paid too much for your glasses.
Oh.
Anyone who isn't shopping at America's Best, where 2 pairs and a free exam start at just $79.95. Book an exam today.
We have a dog and a cat. They leave traces of hair with their shedding all over the house. And I want to make sure that the air quality is good for my kids. Filtrete filters give me a sense of relief and peace of mind.
Panera chefs have crafted a masterpiece. Succulent seared chicken, a secret aioli, clean ingredients, in a buttery brioche roll made fresh to leave you speechless. Panera's new Chef's Chicken Sandwiches, $0 delivery fee for a limited time.
We need to reduce plastic waste in the environment. That's why at America's beverage companies,
our bottles are made to be remade.
Not all plastic is the same. We're carefully designing our bottles to be 100% recyclable, including the caps.
They're collected and separated from other plastics,
so they can be turned back into material that we use to make new bottles. That completes the circle and reduces plastic waste.
Please help us get every bottle back.
Welcome to your world, your why. What drives you? What do you want to leave behind? That's your why. It's your purpose, and we will work with you every step of the way to achieve it.
Bring your eyes into the spotlight with Lumify eye drops. Lumify dramatically reduces redness to help your eyes look brighter, wider, and more luminous, radiant, vibrant for up to 8 hours. Lumify. You won't believe your eyes.
If you have Graves' disease, your eye symptoms could be something more. The itchiness may just be scratching the surface. That gritty feeling may not be so cut and dry. And you need to put the pain behind your eyes front and center. Up to 50% of people with Graves' disease will develop a different condition called thyroid eye disease, which needs a different treatment. To learn more, find a TED eye specialist at isitted.com.
It's so musty in here.
Damp Rid. Drop in the tab, attract and trap excess moisture, eliminate musty odors.
With Skechers Max Cushioning, you get more. More cushion, more rebound. Each style includes maximum Ultra Go cushioning, Skechers air-cooled Gogamat insoles, and rubber outsole contact points for added traction and durability. Get more with the Skechers Max Cushioning Collection.
Throughout history, I've observed markets shaped by the intentional and unforeseeable. For investors who can navigate this landscape, leveraging gold, a strategic and sustainable asset, the path is gilded with the potential for rich returns.
Hitting the road? Not all 5G networks are created equal. T-Mobile covers more highway miles with 5G than Verizon. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
With Best Western Rewards, you get rewarded when you stay on the road and on the go. Find your rewards so you can reconnect, disconnect, hold on tight, and let go. Stay 2 nights and get a free night. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Hybrid work is here. It's there. It's everywhere. But for someone to be able to work from here, there has to be someone here, making sure everything is safe, secure, consistent. So log in from here or here, assured that someone is here, ready to fix anything, anytime, anywhere, even here. That's because nobody, and I mean nobody, makes hybrid work work better. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Nearly 100 million Americans are living under record-breaking temperatures right now. Excessive heat warnings are testing these power grids. Some schools are releasing summer school students early or just canceling classes altogether. In Central Ohio, tens of thousands of people there, they lost power. Derek Van Dam is at a splash pad in downtown Columbus, Ohio. Heat index supposed to climb near 110. I see scores of people behind you there.
Yeah, well, here's proof right now. The actual ambient air temperature, 100 degrees. The heat indice value, what it feels like on your skin, nearing 108. That is incredible. Right now, families across Central Ohio, where I'm located, are being forced to make that difficult decision. Do I ride this power outage and heat wave out at my sweltering home or apartment, or do I come here or make alternative accommodation options? Because literally, time is ticking, because once the power is out, the heat is on, because we have this recipe for a disaster here, a massive heat wave coinciding with power outages from storms that occurred on Monday evening. So we're going on 36 hours for some of the residents here without power, without ability to cool themselves adequately, as well as the food within their refrigerators and freezers. There's also some speculation from local residents here in Columbus, Ohio, about who actually has electricity now. AEP, directly behind me, that is the power provider here in Central Ohio, talks about how the impacts from the storms and the recent power demands from this heat wave has actually caused their transmission lines to become overloaded, and that required emergency outages. But they're saying, and I quote, "We're not picking and choosing the locations where these outages are occurring. It's strictly a location by geography, by transmission outage that impacted these stations by the transmission outage." So that just gives an idea of what they're dealing with and what they're contending here. It is sweltering hot, record-breaking dew point set in Columbus, Ohio yesterday of 84 degrees, and that means homes can't adequately cool overnight to keep you cool at home. I talked to a resident in Columbus about what it felt like in his home. Take a listen. So this is how hot it is inside your house?
Yeah, it's reading about 89, 88 right now. We were literally trying to cool off, trying to breathe. Like, it was too hot to just sit down in our house.
You know, as I look around, there are a significant more adults in the background than just kids playing around in the splash pad. We are nearing the maximum heating of the day as the sunshine comes out in full impacts. But listen, the heat wave of this the middle of the month of June isn't even the hottest time of the month, and we're already stressing our electrical grid. We are in this for the long haul, Victor, and so are the residents here in Columbus, Ohio. Back to you.
Yeah, that heat is not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Derek Van Dam there for us in Columbus. Thank you. CNN's Omar Jimenez is in Chicago, where the heat index could hit 110 also there. So what are the options for people to deal with it?
Yeah, Victor, as you mentioned, this type of heat isn't just hot, it's dangerous. And people here in the city know that. It's why we are outside one of 6 cooling zones at community service centers that the city is offering. But also, they're pointing people toward public library locations, other safety centers, even some of those splash pads here in the city, trying to find some form of relief from this heat. It's hard to imagine that a day and a half ago, we too were dealing with tornado warnings and rain, and then now here we are dealing with heat index values up to around 105 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's not just here. In places across the Midwest, while we are out of school in Chicago and Detroit, public schools have decided to close early through the rest of the week to deal with this extreme heat. In Minneapolis, more than a dozen schools without air conditioning have moved to e-learning to try and deal with this extreme heat. Take a listen to one doctor who lays out just how dangerous this heat can be.
When you are not making sweat anymore, that means you are moving to a new phase because your body isn't responding the way it's supposed to respond. It can take days, it can take months. You can get kidney disease, you can get heart disease. It's not a little deal to get sick from the heat.
And of course, Chicago knows how deadly this can get. After one particular heat wave in the 90s, hundreds of people died as a result of that heat. And it's something, no doubt, on the minds of many public officials as they work to try and make sure nothing of that scale or even close to it ever happens again.
Omar Jimenez for us in Chicago. Thank you, Omar. We're learning about some divisions within the House Select Committee members over whether or not to criminally refer former President Trump to the DOJ. We're live on Capitol Hill. Next.
Want to do more for your brain? Unlike ordinary memory supplements, Nariva Plus fuels 6 indicators of brain health. Memory, focus, accuracy, learning, concentration, and reasoning. Nariva, do more for your brain.
Dad, when is the future?
Oh wow. The future is, what's ahead of us?
I don't get it.
Yeah. Maybe this will help. So now, we're in the present. And now, we're in the future.
The all-electric Chevy Bolt EUV with available Super Cruise for hands-free driving.
Dad?
Yeah?
Do fish get thirsty?
Find new answers. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Bring your eyes into the spotlight with Lumify eye drops. Lumify dramatically reduces redness to help your eyes look brighter, wider, and more luminous, radiant, vibrant for up to 8 hours. Lumify. You won't believe your eyes.
When America is tested, we find strength from within and power through the challenges. But it takes reliable, affordable energy, and we've got a choice on how we get it. Import energy from unstable regions or produce natural gas and oil right here in America. Depend on foreign governments for our natural gas and oil or protect our energy independence, keep American jobs, and maintain global competitiveness. Solutions are made in America with America's natural gas and oil.
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
I grew up an athlete. I rode horses. I really do
take care of myself.
I try to stay in shape. That's really important, especially as you age.
I noticed after kids that my body totally changed.
I started noticing a little pudge, so I took action.
Cool Sculpting targets, freezes, and eliminates treated fat for good. No needles, no incisions. Discuss Cool Sculpting with your provider. Some common side effects include temporary numbness, discomfort, and swelling. You've come this far. Cool Sculpting takes you further. Visit CoolSculpting.com.
So musty in here.
Everybody damp red.
Damp Red attracts and traps excess moisture, eliminating the source of musty odors.
For just a little bit more, I can get you unlimited minutes, data, and text, 6 hotspots, concert coupons, cable subscription, dental cleanings.
We need all that?
Do we need all that?
I wouldn't think so. You should use Consumer Cellular. They have everything you need, nothing you don't.
I'll throw in this tiny little fan. Car wash voucher. Ha! Light up soap dispenser.
Think you lost. Get the exact same coverage as the nation's leading carriers. All the talk, text, and data you need, starting at $20. Consumer Cellular.
Get ready for the showdown.
An epic battle.
On the shoreline.
I don't play it safe.
3 teams compete, led by HGTV experts, and winner takes all. Battle on the beach. All new Sunday at 9 on HGTV.
Witter Coin was founded right here in San Francisco back in 1960 by Mr. Dean Witter, with the basic premise being everyone has the right for a free, honest appraisal about what their items are worth. Every single day, collections both large and small come right into our shop. It's quite fascinating what comes in here. It's pretty exciting. I invite you to bring in your items where our team will examine them, we'll tell you what we'll pay, and if you're not ready to sell, that's fine. At least you know what your items are worth. My name is Seth Chandler, and I invite you to come visit our gorgeous new showroom on Lombard Street in San Francisco. Looking forward to meeting you.
When you're ready to turn any event into a special event, call Uniquely Limo. Our black car service offers every vehicle size that can turn any event into a special event. We promise when you hire us, you're not only deciding what type of transportation you want, but the experience you want to have. Call us or visit uniquelylimo.com. We'll make your night special and memorable. What are you waiting for?
I'm Sam Abdulaziz in Kyiv, and this is CNN.
The January 6th committee today released new evidence that challenges the Capitol Police findings about alleged role of a Republican congressman, Barry Loudermilk. The committee says a man who made threats against lawmakers while marching toward the Capitol on January 6th was also on Loudermilk's tour of the Capitol complex on January 5th. CNN's Ryan Nobles is on Capitol Hill. Walk us through it.
Yeah, that's right, Victor. The committee wants to talk to Loudermilk about this tour and get any information that they can about this individual that is seen on surveillance video taking pictures of things like staircases and entrances, security stanchions, all related to the Capitol complex by the House office buildings as it enters into the Capitol. And they're most interested because this same individual took video outside of the Capitol on January 6th, where he made very specific threats against members of Congress. And they're trying to figure out just exactly what Congressman Loudermilk knew about this individual and his participation in this tour. Now, Congressman Loudermilk has said from the very beginning that there was nothing nefarious about this tour, that it was innocent. It was just a group of his constituents that were in Washington and wanted to see what they could of the Capitol. He actually just spoke about this a few minutes ago. This is what he had to say.
These are folks who had never been to Washington, D.C., and they were here to visit their congressman. And
So why not just speak to the committee and just...
Because the committee's never called me and asked me anything.
So Loudermilk continues to say that the committee's not engaged with him on this topic, that they're just trying to make him look bad. But the committee does have a lot of real questions about this. It is part of their investigation, particularly because there have been members of the House Democratic Caucus who in the days after January 6th were very concerned about these tours, some even calling them reconnaissance tours. So at this point, Loudermilk doesn't appear to be willing to engage with the committee. And again, Victor, he says that he's done nothing wrong.
All right, let's talk now about the division within the January 6th committee about criminal referrals. You've got some new reporting.
Yeah, that's right, Victor. And this, really came out and came out in a very public way earlier this week when the chairman of the committee, Benny Thompson, told a group of us that he didn't think it was necessary for the committee to offer up a formal criminal referral of Donald Trump or anyone else in his orbit, despite the fact that even if the committee believes that he had committed a crime, that the Justice Department would have access to this information, whether or not the committee took that step. That led to a quick rebuke from members of the committee, including the Vice Chair, Liz Cheney. And what we learned through our reporting is that most of the members of the committee really do believe that the former president committed a crime. And what they're wrestling with right now is what to do with that information. Do they make a formal referral to the Department of Justice? Do they just issue a report at the end of all of this where they lay out in specificity all of their findings and then hope that the Department of Justice acts on it? It is a very difficult situation. This is really unprecedented in many ways. There is an argument to be made that not making that referral takes the politics out of it, and it allows Merrick Garland to do his job without that pressure. But then there's also a counter argument that says the committee needs to be forceful in their belief that there was a crime committed here to try and put Garland in a position to take action. This is really one of the dominating conversations of the committee, at least behind closed doors at this point, Victor.
Ryan Nobles with some crucial new reporting. Thank you, Ryan. With me now, Democratic Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. She is a former Trump impeachment manager. Thank you for being with me. Let's start here with this, the video of this tour led by GOP Congressman Barry Loudermilk. With the video, the chairman released this letter, said that individuals on the tour photographed and recorded areas of the complex not typically of interest to tourists, including hallways, staircases, and security checkpoints. Loudermilk says nothing about this was suspicious. What do you see here? Do you think this was a recon tour?
Well, whether it was a reconnaissance tour or not, what I think is most disturbing as a member of Congress is that one of my colleagues who saw what happened on January 6th knew that he was with a substantial group of individuals who were taking pictures of the facility, of the campus, and did not of his own volition try and come forward and say, hey, these are some people, I don't know if they did anything wrong, but we just had an assault on our Capitol, and maybe you should take a look at them. Maybe Justice Department, maybe FBI, these are individuals that you should look at, and here are their names and their phone numbers. That would be the normal course of someone who cared about this institution, cared about the safety of their colleagues, and cared about an attempted overthrow of the government. The fact that not only did he not share that information, but he was disingenuous when he said that he was visiting with a family with small children, which we learn is not entirely the case as it was, leads into question all of his statements thus far.
The vice chair of the committee, Liz Cheney, she has now teased out what the next hearing tomorrow will be about. And she played a clip of the testimony from Eric Hirschman, who's a Trump White House attorney. This is about some conversation with John Eastman, who wrote the memo about what Vice President Pence should have done on January 6th from their perspective. Let's watch.
He started to ask me about something dealing with Georgia and preserving something potentially for appeal. And I said to him, are you out of your effing mind? Right? I said, I only want to hear two words coming out of your mouth from now on. Orderly transition. Eventually he said, orderly transition. I said, good, John. Now I'm going to give you the best free legal advice you're ever getting in your life. Get a great effing criminal defense lawyer. You're going to need it.
It's a single clip, but what do you hear? What's the value here for the American people, for the committee, and what we're hearing from Hirschman?
Well, I think I'm hopeful that the American public will get out of this. Those independents, those individuals who are sitting on the fence about what happened on January 6th, is that they are hearing in clear terms, in stark reality evidence, the individuals who worked for Donald Trump, who worked for President Trump, who were part of his inner circle, who they themselves say that this was incomprehensible what happened, that the president knew that what he was purporting in terms of winning the election was a lie, and that the actions of January 6th were, in the estimation of many of the individuals, particularly the one you showed just now, criminal activity, and that there was criminal implications for them. As someone who worked at the Justice Department, worked for the Deputy Attorney General during a Republican administration, I have to tell you that they have to be watching all of this. They have to be thinking about all of this, and they need to make the right decision about what they're going to do. I agree with the chairman that the evidence speaks for itself, and that the use of the committee to force the hand of the Justice Department should be absolutely unnecessary, and that the committee is doing an incredible job of sharing information with the American public and with the Justice Department. The Justice Department could simply subpoena all of this information from the committee and make the case themselves.
So you believe, and you said that it's unnecessary to your characterization, force the hand, but of course the DOJ will decide on its own, independent of a referral. But you agree with Chairman Thompson, who says that there will not be, you believe there should not be any referral for former President Trump or anyone else, a criminal referral to DOJ as part of this investigation?
Victor, be clear. I did not say should not. I said is unnecessary.
I'm asking.
It is unnecessary. I think it's unnecessary for them to have to do that because I believe that the Justice Department is keenly watching this. They have access to all of this information should they request it, if they have not already. I'm unaware of that. And that there is, of course, sufficient evidence to infer that criminal activity took place, and it is their job to do the investigation, the indictment of individuals, to see that there is probable cause of criminal activity taking place, and to then make the case in a criminal court of law, which has a standard different than is necessary by the January 6th committee, to find beyond a reasonable doubt that individuals did in fact commit sedition, treason, an attempted coup, criminal intent, larceny, burglary, attempted assault, attempted assassination, attempted murder of elected officials in this country.
Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, representing the U.S. Virgin Islands, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victor.
Sure. An election denier in Nevada is one step closer to being in charge of elections in the state. Details next.
Sunday, celebrate, educate, and lift every voice. The Roots, Khalid, Yolanda Adams, and so much more. Juneteenth, a global celebration for freedom, Sunday at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
There's a monster problem, and our hero needs solutions. So she starts a Miro to brainstorm. Shoot it, suggest the scientists. So they shoot it. Back to the Miro board. Dave says, feed it. And Dave feeds it. Just then, our hero has a breakthrough. Shoot it. Camera. Shoot a movie. And so our humble team saves the day by working together on Miro.
Bring your eyes into the spotlight with Lumify eye drops. Lumify dramatically reduces redness to help your eyes look brighter, wider, and more luminous, radiant, vibrant for up to 8 hours. Lumify. You won't believe your eyes.
It's so musty in here.
Everybody damp red.
Damp Red attracts and traps excess moisture, eliminating the source of musty odors.
Questlove is the poetry of stillness, a thundering drumbeat, discovering the virtues of a wandering mind, conflict and climate change, a new black dream, the hidden melodies of trains, the sacred spell of words. This art was looted. The power of a dinner table. A country on the brink, carving a path through the heart of Philadelphia. A story of love and obsession, affirmation etched in vinyl. Funny how the universe works.
What if you could use retirement accounts to invest in crypto? With iTrust Capital, you can. iTrust Capital allows you to invest in your favorite crypto assets 24/7 with the tax benefits of an IRA. So instead of paying taxes on your crypto gains every year, you can defer taxes till you retire using an iTrust IRA. Or with an iTrust Roth IRA, you can withdraw tax-free at retirement because you're in this for the long haul. Start investing today at iTrustCapital.com.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. They put their names on arenas, we put ours on my lower back. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. And if this were one of their ads, they'd end it here with a happy customer. So we'll end ours with an angry goat. Ooh, look at the angry goat.
We strip in the community garden.
I've been stripping here for years.
I strip before takeoff.
Breathe Right strips open your nose for relief you can feel right away, helping you take in air more easily wherever you are.
We're a different kind of dentistry. One who believes in doing anything it takes to make dentistry work for your life. So we offer a complete exam and x-rays free to new patients without insurance every day. Plus, patients get 20% off their treatment plan. We're on your corner and in your corner every step of the way. Because your anything is our everything. Aspen Dental, anything to make you smile. Book today at aspendental.com. Walk in or call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
Think he's posting about all that ancient Roman coinage? No. He's seizing the moment with Merrill, moving his money into his investment account in real time. And that's how you collect coins.
Your money never stops working for you with Merrill, a Bank of America company.
There's more to the ultimate driving machine than you might think. Multiple forces converging to create something uncontainable. Introducing the ultimate first-of-its-kind machine. The ultimate hair-raising machine. And the ultimate peace of mind machine. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
See your local BMW Center today for exceptional lease and finance offers.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Thundershirt. Constant gentle pressure for a calmer pet.
If your dog suffers from fear of thunder, fireworks, separation, or any other anxieties, Thundershirt may be the answer. Available at these and other retailers.
Donald Trump's grip on the GOP was evident in several critical battleground states last night. We got a glimpse of how much he could sway the midterms this November. CNN political director David Chalian is here to break it all down for us. So, David, good to see you. Let's start with South Carolina. Split decision there. What do we need to know?
Well, split decision in terms of the Trump endorsement tracker, but it really is a win-win for Donald Trump. Here's why. Take a look in this congressional district, the 7th congressional district. Tom Rice, one of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump, Victor, so a clear target of the former president's, he comes up with a big loss here. He only got 24.7% of the vote. Russell Fry, the Trump-backed candidate, 51% of the vote. Now, that indicates conservative, Republican primary voters in South Carolina, if you go as far as to impeaching Donald Trump, well, you are no longer welcome to be the representative there. Take a look in the 1st congressional district down here in the Charleston area. Nancy Mace, she wins this race, 53.1% of the vote. Now, she did not have Donald Trump's endorsement. Katie Arrington did. But Nancy Mace did not go as far as voting to impeach Donald Trump. She said some critical things in the aftermath of January 6th. She actually voted to certify the 2020 election as legitimate. Yes, he endorsed against her, but what else did she do? She spent the entirety of this race trying to affiliate herself with Donald Trump. She went up to Trump Tower, filmed a video in front of it. So Trump either gets his revenge, getting somebody who impeached him out, or he gets his revenge because he makes someone he's not supporting sort of grovel for his support as well. So a win-win for Donald Trump in South Carolina.
Let's go to Nevada now. Good night for people back in the big line there.
Well, I'm going to go a little further down the ballot to the Secretary of State primary in Nevada. Take a look. This is the Republican primary. Jim Marchant, 38% of the vote. He's the winner. This is the Republican nominee to be Secretary of State in a critical battleground state, Nevada, to have oversight over the elections there. And he is an election denier from 2020. So this is the real world, still modern day, not looking back to January 6th, but today and going forward, potential threat to sort of our democracy, to the foundations of free and fair elections. He is now the Republican nominee in Nevada. Also, I just want to show you in Nevada, in the Senate race there, one of the key contests of the cycle, Victor, if I can get to it. You'll see here Adam Laxalt, who had the support of Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. He's the big winner in the Republican nomination. He'll go up against Catherine Cortez Masto, one of the vulnerable incumbent Democrats. The entire control of the U.S. Senate could come down to this race.
All right, crucial race there. Takes us to Texas and this special election victory for the GOP.
Yeah, I think this race is important to pay attention to. It's down here in the Brownsville area of Texas, down in the Rio Grande Valley. Maya Flores, a Republican, wins this race. It's a special election. This was a Democratic-held seat. This district is one that Joe Biden won by 4 points in 2020. The Democratic congressman left Congress to become a lobbyist. The special election now produces a flip for Republicans. Nancy Pelosi's Democratic majority in the House just shrunk by 1 seat in advance of this tough midterm cycle. The thing that's key to watch here, Victor, is, you know, we talk about it all the time. Republicans have been making inroads specifically with Latino voters, very heavily Latino district here. And this is a warning sign to Democrats that in a Biden district, heavily Latino, Republicans were able to make gains here. Now, come November, these lines have been redrawn. This district is likely to be much more Democratic. But for the moment, a warning sign for Democrats about their relationship with Latino voters given this economy. Victor?
Something to watch. David Chalian watching it all for us. Thank you very much, David.
Sure.
2 California police officers were killed in an ambush while trying to protect a family. We have details of this ahead.
It's a lovely day today, so whatever you've got to do, you got a lovely day to do it in, that's true. And I hope whatever you've got to do is something that...
Cars built with safety in mind, even for those guys. The Volkswagen Atlas with standard front assist.
Bring your eyes into the spotlight with Lumify eye drops. Lumify dramatically reduces redness to help your eyes look brighter, wider, and more luminous, radiant, vibrant for up to 8 hours. Lumify. You won't believe your eyes.
At Empower, we believe in opening doors. Let us help move you towards financial freedom for all of life's moments. We've been helping over 17 million customers create the future they want, and we're ready to open some doors for you.
If you struggle and struggle and struggle with CPAP, you should check out Inspire. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
One person can cause an effect. One person in HR can challenge outdated hiring practices, champion modern benefits, advocate for pay equity, and turn jobs into careers. HR empowers others to not only dream of change, but to create it. The actions of a few affect the lives of many. Join SHRM today to cause the effect you wish to see in the workplace.
For adults with generalized myasthenia gravis, who are positive for acetylcholine receptor antibodies, it may feel like the world is moving without you. But the picture is changing with VYVGART. In a clinical trial, participants achieved improved daily abilities with VYVGART added to their current treatment. And VYVGART helped clinical trial participants achieve reduced muscle weakness. VYVGART may increase the risk of infection. In a clinical study, the most common infections were urinary tract and respiratory tract infections. Tell your doctor if you have a history of infections or if you have symptoms of an infection. VYVGART can cause allergic reactions. The most common side effects include respiratory tract infection, headache, and urinary tract infection. Picture your life in motion with VYVGART, a treatment designed using a fragment of an antibody. Ask your neurologist if VYVGART could be right for you.
Welcome to your world, your why. What drives you? What do you want to leave behind? That's your why. It's your purpose, and we will work with you every step of the way to achieve it.
It's hard eating healthy. Unless you happen to be a dog.
Some people think we're all brawn and no brains, and I like to fight the myth.
I just think about all that he did.
He never forgot about his race, and when I say his race, I'm talking about the human race.
So many people are investing in their home right now. So if windows and doors are on your list, don't miss Renewal by Andersen's biggest new customer discount. It's our 27th anniversary sale, and before June 30th, save 25% on windows, save 25% on patio doors, and save 25% on entry doors. Then with our financing, pay nothing for a year. We're grateful for 27 amazing years in business, and we're proud that we have more 5-star reviews than other leading full-service window replacement companies. During your very first visit only, save 25% on windows, save 25% on patio doors, and save 25% on entry doors, and pay nothing for a year. 27 years of Renewal by Andersen means 25% off for you, our biggest new customer discount. Our sale ends June 30th. For an appointment, call 1-800-918-1616.
Juneteenth, a global celebration for freedom, Sunday at 8 Eastern, only on CNN.
Federal authorities say the 18-year-old charged in last month's racist attack at a Buffalo supermarket had planned that massacre for years. Today, Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the suspect now faces multiple federal hate crime charges. CNN's Bryn Gingras joins us now from Buffalo. Bryn, the Attorney General, he met with survivors, the victims' families. What did he say?
Yeah, and Victor, he said he wanted to go meet with them personally to tell them that these federal charges were going to be coming down. The announcement, 26 federal charges now against that 18-year-old shooter allegedly responsible for the attack that happened in the Tops grocery store here behind me. 10 people were killed. I know you remember it well, as you were here for such a long period of time. Much of those charges are hate crime related. Some are gun related as well. But the criminal complaint that was filed, the affidavit, it has so much detail of what investigators have found in this past month against this shooter, basically saying, like you mentioned, Victor, that he had planned this, had thought about this for several years prior to the attack last month, and really got serious about it allegedly earlier this year, but was doing reconnaissance of this area, which we knew about, but even visited the store just 2.5 hours before that attack was carried out, going in, seeing how many people in the black community, because that's what he was targeting allegedly, who he was targeting, how many were inside, the ages, where the security guard was located. Remember, that was one of the victims in this case. So much information detailed, and I want you to hear more from the Attorney General about filing these charges.
Hate-fueled acts of violence terrorize not only the individuals who are all attacked, but entire communities. Hate brings immediate devastation, and it inflicts lasting fear. At the Justice Department, we view confronting hate crimes as both our legal and our moral obligation.
Obviously, this is so very important for the Attorney General. Keep in mind, Victor, now these 26 federal charges are on top of state charges that this 18-year-old was already facing. But now the death penalty is on the table. When the Attorney General was asked if that's really going to be considered, what's going to happen with that, he didn't obviously commit to an answer just yet, saying it's going to take some time to go through the process, but said, of course, the victims' families as well as the survivors in this are going to have some weigh in on that decision. Victor?
Bryn Gingras for us with the latest in Buffalo. Thank you, Bryn. A city in Southern California is in mourning today. 2 police officers were killed in the line of duty. The mayor of El Monte says that they were trying to protect a family. CNN's Adrian Broadus is with us now. So the mayor said that these 2 were essentially ambushed. Tell us more.
That is what the mayor is saying. We are also learning not the names of the officers yet, but we do know, Victor, one had at least 22 years with the department. The other is what they've described as a rookie, less than a year on the job. Investigators are keeping the information of this case close to the vest, but they did share with us when they entered this motel room after responding to a call for a potential stabbing. When they encountered the suspect, an officer-involved shooting occurred. And later, another officer-involved shooting occurred on the parking lot. So it appears there were at least 2 scenes. And everything that transpired has left this community devastated.
Adrian Broadus.
These 2 heroes
paid the ultimate sacrifice. Today they were murdered by a coward.
Heartbroken doesn't begin to express the loss that we feel with the news that 2 of our Albany police officers were shot today in the line of duty. As our officers do on a daily basis, they were acting as the first line of defense for our community members when they were essentially ambushed while trying to keep a family safe.
Investigators also telling us both of the officers were married with children. People have been leaving flowers outside of the police station in honor of those officers. Victor?
Adrian Broaddus, thank you. All right, we're watching the markets in the final minutes of trading now after the Federal Reserve made the biggest hike in interest rates in a decade, or decades, more than 10 years.
Hybrid work is here. It's there. It's everywhere. But for someone to be able to work from here, there has to be someone here, making sure everything is safe, secure, consistent. So log in from here or here, assured that someone is here, ready to fix anything, anytime, anywhere, even here. That's because nobody, and I mean nobody, makes hybrid work work better. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
What's on the horizon? The answers lie beyond the roads we know. We recognize that energy demand is growing and the world needs lower carbon solutions to keep up. At Chevron, we're working to find new ways forward through investments and partnerships in innovative solutions like renewable natural gas from cow waste, hydrogen-fueled transportation, and carbon capture. We may not know just what lies ahead, but it's only human to search for it.
Arby's sold out of the most incredible drive-thru burger ever. But now through June, get 50% off one of these incredible sandwiches when you sign up for an account at Arby's.com. Incredible! Arby's, we have the meats.
If you wake up thinking about the markets and want to make the right moves fast, get Decision Tech for insights on when to buy and sell and proactive alerts on market events. That's Decision Tech, only from Fidelity.
Oh, this one is perfect.
Not as perfect as this one.
That is not a mango, Lenny.
No, but this mango hint water tastes just like mango. And with no calories or sweetness.
How can water taste just like fruit?
How can our feet look just like our hands?
How can our feet look just like our hands?
Hint. Water with a touch of true fruit flavor.
Oh, boy, I'm freaking out here.
It's so musty in here.
Everybody
Damp Rid. Drop in the tab, attract and trap excess moisture, eliminate musty odors.
Hi! Need new glasses? Get 2 pairs for $99 at VisionWorks. How can you see me squinting? I can't. I'm just telling everyone. Hey!
Now get 2 complete pairs starting at $99. VisionWorks. See the difference.
Welcome 5 chefs and 1 complete liar.
Every week, 6 new cooks compete, while 1 chef tries to secretly ruin everyone's dish. Who will be sabotaged?
Gross.
Disgusting. Rat in the Kitchen season finale, tomorrow at 9 on TBS and the app.
When it comes to cybersecurity, the biggest threats don't always strike the biggest targets. So help safeguard your small business with Comcast Business Security Edge. It's advanced security that continuously scans for threats and helps protect every connected device. The choice is clear. Get unbeatable business solutions from the most innovative company, so you can be ready for what's next.
Get started with a great deal on internet and voice for just $49.99 a month for 24 months with a 2-year price guarantee. Call today.
Another crazy day? Of course. You're a CIO in 2022, but you're ready because you've got the next generation in global secure networking from Comcast Business with fully integrated security solutions all in one place. So you're covered, on-premise and in the cloud. You can run things the way you want, your team, ours, or a mix of both, with the nation's largest IP network from the most innovative company. Bring on today with Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
The Lead with Jake Tapper. Next on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
FDA vaccine advisors just voted in favor of authorizing Pfizer's COVID vaccine for children 6 months through 4 years old. A committee member, Dr. Paul Offit, said that children will need a 3-dose series to be sufficiently protected. At the top of the hour, the panel also approved Moderna for children 6 months through 5 years of age. Now, on Saturday, CDC advisors are scheduled to vote on whether to recommend these vaccines in that age group. And if CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky signs off on the recommendation, the children can be vaccinated. The Lead with Jake Tapper starts now.
The president writes a sternly worded letter to oil companies. That'll do the trick. Lead starts right now. President Biden tells gas and oil companies to cut the soaring profits or else. This as the Fed announces an historic rate hike, which will cause Americans to pay more for houses and cars and credit card bills. And the committee investigating the January 6th insurrection releases new footage from the day before the attack of a Capitol Hill tour led by a Republican congressman all in on the big lie, and one of his guests in the video is seen taking photographs of stairwells and hallways and tunnels